Hello, horror fans. It's me, Cass,
Kylie.
and we have on Brewster. How are you?
Hi, ladies. How you doing?
We're excited.
Me too.
So, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, definitely Brewster's favorite subject, because we are talking about the Brewster from Fright Night.
Brewster, he's so cool.
Damn
Yeah.
right.
But specifically, we're talking about Fright Night 2. So if you guys just heard that intro and you're like, wait a minute, you guys already did an episode on Fright Night. You are correct. We did. Had a wonderful, amazing episode that we did with Jamie McGuire and talked about Fright Night because that is one of his favorite movies. And it was pretty cool to talk with him about what makes it so great. But we kind of alluded to Fright Night 2. Jamie had never seen Fright Night 2. So I showed him where he could watch it. He watched it beforehand. And we did get a little bit into talking about Fright Night 2. I did think about that when we were getting ready for this because I did have a pretty spicy take about Fright Night 2 that now I kind of see Jamie's point. So we're going to get into that. But if you've not seen Fright Night 2, it is not currently streaming anywhere. I found it on YouTube. There is a couple different YouTube videos that play the full movie. So go watch it. There is talk that by the end of the year, we're going to get a Fright Night and Fright Night 2 special edition. And so Fright Night 2, at least, I've heard rumblings that is definitely moving forward. So hopefully it'll come back into mainstream streaming. A lot of times when they do the re-releases, especially with Scream Factory, those movies will get put up into like Tubi and different places because of the restoration process. So let's hope that is. If it is, we will go ahead and let you know at the point in time that it is available. But Fright Night 2 is kind of a whole different ball game than the original Fright Night. And this is a little bit more fun, a little bit more playful. It really just kind of has a lot of playfulness with the themes that we saw in the first movie. It definitely has a fuck ton of bowling. So put on your bowling shoes.
Don't forget Brian Thompson.
Yes, don't forget Brian Thompson. They're razzing me because I did have a crush on Brian Thompson growing up.
Don't forget your bugs.
Yeah, don't forget your bugs. And watch where you put your hands, especially bowling, because you never know whose undead face you're going to be touching. So
And don't forget your crucifixes.
And
yeah,
rose petals.
Roses.
And rose petals. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely stay alive. I think the people who did the movie Stay Alive watched this and was like, well, that's something that we could check off the list too. So, but definitely grab everything you can. Grab the fucking shroud because Lord knows that makes an appearance too. The fucking cloak
and the mirrors.
But yeah, grab everything. I know I'm safe because Lord knows I own a fuck ton of mirrors. So I'm good. This is why, people, I'm staying safe.
I'll invite the vampires in, man. That's the dream come true right there.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of feel like if it's Regina and
oh man, whew.
Yeah, if it's Regina and definitely if it is Chris Sarandon back in the day.
I think we touched on that during our subspecies video.
Oh yeah. Back in the day, it happened. So listen, he pulled Susan Sarandon, so enough said. He survived that, and he survived Chucky, and he went on to be Humperdinck, and we still loved him for it. So
and Jack Skellington,
which a lot of people forget. But this movie is fun, so let's go ahead and roll out the bowling pins while we're at it. So let's get into this intro.
Welcome to the Horrorcraft Podcast.
And we are back. So thank you again, Tiki, for doing the intro. He recently redid it for us with our new logo, and we are super appreciative of it as always. Like we have been teasing this whole entire time. He will be making our upcoming Spooky Moms intro, and we are super excited to see what he comes up with. So if you are not currently subscribed to Talkin Tapes, what are you doing with your life? You get to see Brewster and I get into some shenanigans. Kylie so lovingly, talks about me being the mom of the group with my little, coffin backpack, just making sure everyone stays hydrated and has their snacks and they're good to go. But Talkin Tapes is a fun time. So if you love hearing all of us discourse, you would love Talkin Tapes. So please go check the description down below and go show Talkin Tapes some love. We have a really awesome summer special that's about to hit beginning of July. Oh, it's going to be amazing. And you're going to see a lot of familiar faces that have graced Horrorcraft as well. So it's going to be a big old family reunion just in time for summer. So please go check it out. Show it some love. By the time this episode comes out, it may or may not be up. If not, we will go ahead and amend the description when it is, and it is live. So we could go for it. So, Charlie Brewster. So that man cannot stay out of trouble.
No, he can't.
No, he cannot.
But it finds him, so like it's not really his fault.
No, he was a nosy bastard in the first one.
I mean, okay, but if you were him and you were seeing shit, what would you do?
I don't think I'd be as obvious that I was scoping him out. I mean, you gotta have some kind of like black ops mission going on here. They didn't have the internet back then, but he started off right by talking to Evil and getting his intel on the vampire community and stuff. But you don't let them know I'm coming after you. You got to do a very subtle approach to it. Charlie, if he were smart, would have played nice with him when Jerry was in his house meeting his mother, and then kind of try to do something under the radar. Especially with vampires who have heightened senses, they're going to know you're coming after them. They can hear your heartbeat like a mile away,
Well, I will say Charlie was rather immature in the first one, but the second one, he was more mature.
He definitely was, and this one, I'm with you. He was in therapy. I mean, that's more than
he was, but he still is kind of the same shit person.
But he's getting hypnotized by Regina in this one.
Well, but even before that, like I definitely understand that, like, the events that happened in the first one, he is trying to deprogram himself for it. But let's be honest, he is not the nicest to Peter Vincent in this one.
No, that's true. Peter is he's kind of a dick to Peter Vincent.
Yeah, and he still starts the same way. I mean, I think what kind of gets me about him in this film is he is that guy that we all know that went to a couple therapy sessions and all of a sudden think that they are a healed person, and the world is just like, oh yes, I'm okay. But he's really not, and he's still a dick, because he was a dick to Evil Ed, and that kind of leads Ed down the path that he takes in the first one. He's definitely an asshole to Amy. Amy deserved so much better, and honestly,
I didn't really like Amy.
I'm Team Alex
better.
over here. I'm Team Alex.
Yeah, I like Alex.
Yeah, I do like Alex more as a character. But you know who I am a team of from the very get-go? I'm a Jerry person. I'm sorry, but Jerry never. Yeah.
Oh, we know.
Yeah,
yeah. That's not in a question here.
But it's also too just from the perspective of Jerry alludes to several different times, like, hey, I am trying to I'm trying to walk away from this.
Yeah.
I am giving you a chance to let
Yeah.
me know. I did not get that. I did
Those
not.
were his exact words.
Yeah, I did not choose this. And you kind of find out the same thing from Regina. You get her kind of the impression that both her and Jerry were this is not the life that they chose. They were kind of forced into it and they've had to live with it. And you do
counterpoint. Regina had more of an entourage than Jerry did.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, true.
You know, she had Brian Thompson. She had the roller skating chick, and she had Uncle Rico. I mean, Jerry had the one dude who we still don't know what the fuck he actually was. He vampire-ish, but he was out in the daylight. But he was,
Yeah.
you know,
wasn't he like a werewolf?
no, evil turned into a werewolf, but that goes along with the old school Dracula being able to shapeshift into a bat and a wolf kind of thing.
Yeah, but okay, so I get that part, but it is the whole Boy Who Cried Wolf, which actually there is a film that very similarly resembles Fright Night that came out with Sci-Fi. It's got Nina Dobrev. You can fact check me on this if you want. It's called Never Cry Werewolf, and it's the same whole idea of Fright Night where the neighbor moves next door. Neighbor is a werewolf. He's in love with the neighbor, who is Nina Dobrev, who's kind of like she's her own version of Charlie's character, and he's in love with her. And it's kind of like get what you and Kevin Sorbo just so happens to be like
Oh,
the
Jesus,
Peter Vincent
Hercules.
character.
Hercules.
Yes. Which again goes
Oh
then
my
back to
God.
Brian Thompson because Brian Thompson was in Hercules and Xena. So
We talked
Was
about
he?
Brian Thompson,
yeah.
Kevin Sorbo, and Chris Sanderson all in 12 minutes time.
I know, we better get her a bib or something. Jesus.
Listen, Kevin Sorbo back then
There we go.
is not Kevin Sorbo today. Okay.
We're a judgment-free zone, sweetie.
We are, but
We listen and we don't judge.
we listen and we don't judge. But when you're just an outright dick to humanity, we do judge. Sorry. Like
yes,
you could
yes,
sit
we
there and
do.
preach all you want about okay, we don't judge people for beliefs, and that's fine. But when you're just a dick to people's humanity, that's a whole other thing.
I'm not familiar with this stuff, so maybe we'll talk about this off camera.
Oh, yeah. No. It's just like, let's just say Google him. All you have to do, people out there that are listening and you want to know the full story, Google his name, Google Lucy Lawless, and you'll find a bunch of tweets where they went back and forth with each other and Lucy Lawless kind of Xena karate chopped him in half online. So it's a good time, especially for Lucy Lawless because she's Lucy Lawless, but she's forever timeless. But I can't help it. Okay, if you grew up like me, you grew up with Xena and Hercules. You grew up with a lot of these shows, and a lot of these people were. Brian Thompson was in a fuck ton of stuff that we grew up with. Charmed, Buffy, X-Files, like. I mean, the list goes on and fucking on. This movie, he was fucking Shao Kahn.
There you go. Lionheart with Van Damme.
He was Lionheart. He was in Dragonheart. He was pretty much fucking everywhere.
So, is this video going to be about Fright Night 2 or Brian Thompson?
Fright Night 2.
I mean, because I'll stick around. I mean, I'm here for you, but I can only weigh in so much with Brian Thompson.
Fright Night 2, because then you get like it is definitely a different set of characters. I do like Alex a lot better,
yes.
But Charlie is a dick, and Charlie is it kind of improved in this one, but he's still the same kind of Charlie, and there's
he's always trying to get in someone's fucking pants.
Yeah, really, he is.
In the 80s, 90s, that's all the kids. That's all they did, though. I mean, I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying that time period it was shot is a totally different scenario.
Yeah, most definitely. It definitely shows the time period because now that's perceived as different. I mean, not even just 80s, 90s, but early 2000s, mid 2000s. Like now, that's not so much cool. But like, bro, you act like you've never been laid before. Like we saw.
We
First
saw
one.
you with Amy. Like,
Maybe
did
he
you
hadn't got laid since Amy, you know?
listen?
Okay, that's valid. And
I
let's
mean,
be
there's
honest.
He's been in
Alex
therapy.
pretty-
Maybe, you know, he's been in therapy. Maybe Alex was like the first one he hooked up with, you know?
Alex is I'm sorry, she's prettier.
Oh, fuck
she's
yeah.
a baddie. She's a baddie. There's no other
And
way to say
she's
it.
extremely intelligent, focused on her
Highly.
career.
Oh,
Like
speed
she's the
reader,
whole
too.
package.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
fucking
speed,
sweet.
like if she just speeding through Dracula, bro, in the library.
She was the girl in My Boyfriend's Back, if you ladies remember that one.
What one?
My Boyfriend's Back. I did a theme about it. There you go. I did a thing about it last year at some point. It's a comedy movie. The guy gets
Yes,
shot. in the
I've seen that.
convenience store. Yeah, she's him, or she's him. She plays the girl he's interested in.
Yeah. Listen, I own this very expensive copy of Dracula. I've read Dracula multiple times. I could probably go around like a Mormon and talk about the good word of Dracula. Let's be honest.
You can't get through an episode without bringing up the Mormons, can you?
I cannot. I just had to shoot a shot, a stray bullet in their direction. Let's just say my life is still being terrorized by the Mormon wives. The secret life of Mormon. Listen,
but you choose it.
But then you're the one that got me into the Polly show, so that's a whole other separate
They're not
thing.
even associated with any religion.
They are not. But I'm just saying, as someone who's read this before, the speed in which she reads Dracula is fucking impressive in itself. I literally was watching that earlier today, and I'm like, damn, Charlie, you should have proposed to her right there. Like that's an impressive set of skills. Not even just because I'm a Dracula fan, but like she read a pretty extensive book in like 2 hours, and you can't even get your shit together for 20 minutes. So
I can't even jerk off that fast. I bit my tongue as long as I could. That's why you go back and rewatch this. You're going to see me sitting here like, like a dog being told to stay. Like,
we really, we knew it was going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
But,
I know.
But yeah, he's not the most likable character. But I think what does irritate me is how kind of rude he is to Peter in this, because obviously they've both been through the same trauma. And I get it that maybe he's trying to put it like past him, but just like I feel like he kind of leads into what ends up happening with this, like with the whole like kind of isolating himself from Peter, and then it's the whole like going back and forth bit of it, because that's a big part of this, is where is he hallucinating? Is he projecting? Is this going on? When in reality, we know it's real the whole fucking time. Like, you just didn't not kill your friend for no reason. And even in the beginning, when he's like, yeah, Peter had to kill Ed because Ed went psychotic and stuff like that. It's like, okay, we could, if you want to believe that, that's fine. But like, it's kind of like we start that whole theme in the movie where he's projecting a lot of shit on the people around him, even with his relationship with Alex. Like, he's no better of a boyfriend to Alex than he was Amy. In fact, he's even worse.
Well, that's the problem with people in that caliber. It's the same thing with a lot of former smokers who quit, coming down to me like, you know, like they're better than you kind of thing. And he's got the same mentality, because since he's healed, you're not doing what's right, and you should be doing this and stuff. And you know, fucking Peter Vincent, while he brushed him off in the first one, who wouldn't? He didn't really believe in vampires, but even though Charlie was a dick to him in this one, once he came back and said it's happening again, Peter jumped right at it and didn't slam his face, nothing, you know?
Yeah, like Peter was pretty, and when Peter starts really kind of losing his grip on things, Charlie is not there for him. And I understand like the different capacity of how mental health is, especially with men. You know, we just had an episode that was really great where we talked about session 9, and I'm glad that we did it with Weston, because we were talking about a lot of like men's mental health stuff. I understand that that plays a big role in it, but I think just from an outsider's perspective, it's just one of those things of like, you went through a trauma together. You're bonded in a way that you're not bonded with somebody else. Like, and it is very hard.
But I'm not saying this is the case with Peter, but in some cases when there is a trauma bond, that does not mean that those two people, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, friends, that it's a good relationship. Look at the bitches from Yellow Jackets. They're all trauma bonded and they're all fucking nuts and they're all just
trying to kill each other. Yep.
Just trying to kill each other.
Yeah, they really are. Those bitches are crazy. I'm sorry.
Just because you have a trauma bond with somebody does not mean that you have to have a relationship with them because of the trauma.
No, because look at, I mean, Yellow Jackets is a prime example, because there are these, women who, as young adults, went through this horrible thing, had to do horrible things to each other to survive, and their whole entire adult existence in this show is predicated upon them always looking at who has a knife to their back and always seeing the worst in each other. And like, I'll just say it. If you haven't seen the current season of Yellow Jackets, please disregard the next 10 seconds.
I'll count you down.
Say it now. But like when fucking Melanie Lansky's character bites into Hilary Swank's shoulder and literally like spits it the fuck out and makes her try to eat herself. Like, I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like,
well, then like towards the end, they all kind of realize that Shauna's a problem.
Yeah. And so it is one of those, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because I do think that this is a big reason why Regina is able to do the things that she's in to Charlie's life, because Charlie is sitting here thinking he's got a grip back on his life together. And then in walks this big fucking problem. And because he's trying to avoid or trying in his mind to move on from things, it kind of walks him perfectly into what's going on with this, which, by the way, I will say, badass kind of move to like totally put the moves on Charlie, turn him immortal, and then torture him for the rest of his unnatural life. Like that's a boss level move. Okay. It's
well, I need some clarification because Cass wasn't able to give this to me.
All right.
And I've watched it, I can't tell you how many times in the background since we decided we were, going to be filming this, where he is with her and he gets bitten by Regina and wakes up from a dream. Is he really actually getting bitten?
Yeah.
Yes.
He really actually, he does, but is it a dream? Like, okay.
No.
So she's fucking with him because, in the vampire thing, they drain you until you're like, what, one drop left?
Yeah.
And fuse yours.
Yeah.
She's draining him slowly while slowly hypnotizing him because this is the beginning of her torture for him. She could just very easily turn him and be done with it, but she's pissed off at him. So she wants to drag this out as long, which is also her downfall, of course, but she wants to drag this out as long as she can. Kind of, I think it might have been an homage to Once Bitten, where the Countess had to have his blood 3 times before the full moon or before Halloween. So she was just enjoying the shit out of torturing him because not only was he growing weaker and he was being tormented by these dreams of her, not knowing what was going on. So it was affecting his schoolwork, his relationship.
And historically, that kind of goes back even to the original. That goes back to Bram Stoker, because that's what happens with Lucy is he doesn't take Lucy right away.
Yeah.
He does it slowly over time. And that's because of the way that he had to, like, the way that they kind of equated that out is the fact that it was kind of this like slower seduction where, you think that he's swerving into this lane, but really he's doing this behind that. And that's kind of the whole theme with that is it's the slow seduction, the whole like idea of like not just one time, but coming back for more and slowly over time, like, because by the time Lucy is ready to get drained, she's fully signed up for immortal life.
Yeah.
She's fully ready to have her life taken. Because then we see the opposite in Dracula, where Mina, you know, he's like, nope, I'm not doing that. Like, I wanted this, but I can't do that to you. And she's like, no, I want you to do this to me. You're the person I'm meant to be with. And that's why there's that juxtaposition. Obviously, you could tell that I spend way too much fucking time hyper focused on vampires.
Well, no, you're good.
But it is that like idea of it really truly, if somebody think about Last House on the Left as a perfect example. If somebody takes away the person you love, how far are you willing to go into madness to make that person pay? What are you willing to do? And for her, she does not have the hang up of mortality as much as, say, Jerry. Because if you think about it, Jerry and Regina, even though they are siblings, they are very different from each other. Jerry was kind of trapped in this life. Like Brewster was saying, he has his one friend who's helping him out. He is trying to just have this existence where he squeaks by, and he kind of drifts from place to place. And when things start like blowing up where bodies are being found and stuff like that, he dips out. And it's only because Brewster pays attention to him that he kind of gets caught up. And he even gives Brewster chances to get out of it. Regina is not that person. Regina is fully into the vampire life. She has a whole entourage around her. She leans into it. She fully is embracing it. She doesn't have the hangups of mortality like Jerry did. Jerry was disillusioned by his immortality at that point too, because he had, that's why he ends up doing what he does with Amy, because Amy reminds him of someone in his past. And that's a very clear like indication of his disillusion with the life that he has, because he's had to watch all these people die and he can never fully be himself. Regina doesn't give a fuck. Regina is happy doing her life, living it, but it's because of the fact that her brother dies that she comes and does what she does.
Right.
So, but it also makes her the perfect person because no one's expecting that from her. Yeah. And she kind of plays up people's ideas of it. So, but it does kind of bring that whole thing of that's her brother. So did you not expect her to come after you? Like, and she's an all-powerful vampire. And I think it is kind of a boss move making her a woman, because Jerry was the more softer one. Regina was the one that was going to fucking eat your heart out.
Oh, I'd leave the door unlocked for her.
Oh, I would too. Fully. Like, Regina could get me to risk it for the biscuit. I'm just saying, as Kylie would say. So, but it definitely does play on it. I don't even know who my favorite character is in this movie. So before we even get into me asking some of the questions, if you haven't kind of gotten what we've laid down in this episode, Fright Night 2 picks up after Fright Night. And it basically is where Charlie is convincing himself that what happened in Fright Night is not what actually happened. He's going to therapy. He has a girlfriend who is studying to be a therapist. And there is a woman that comes into his life through his dreams first, and then he sees her. And we find out halfway through the movie that she is, in fact, Jerry's sister. And then ensues basically the cat and mouse game back and forth, where she is laying a pretty elaborate trap for him and is trying to get the ultimate revenge. It does kind of bite her in the ass in the end. And it leads to some pretty cool fucking deaths. I really forgot how cool Brian Thompson's was, where they cut his stomach open and all the bugs come out of it. The roller death where the one that's always on skates comes towards them. They put him in the shroud, and then it like his whole body turns into jello. Totally forgot about that too. Like some of the effects are more amped up in this movie, and I love that. The iconic bowling scene
I
of like,
fucking love that.
nothing better than just, hitting up a bowling alley, killing a bunch of fucking people, and popping off a few rounds before you guys toss the joint. You know what I mean? Just wholesome times.
Very wholesome.
So, but what I wanted to get into is out of this movie, because there is a lot more characters in this movie, whether it's Charlie's therapist, it's Peter Vincent, it's, Regina, it's some of her cohorts. There's a lot of different moving pieces and puzzle parts that are moving around. Do you have a favorite character in this movie?
Which one are you asking?
I'm asking both of you. You guys can decide who you want.
Oh, I'm taking the Uncle Rico werewolf vampire character.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Because people forget that the guy who played Uncle Rico was in a lot of these roles back in that time period. Because he kind of was, his character in that was kind of similar to his character in Terror Vision, if you guys have seen that.
Yep.
And he was very just like that stupid, always high drunk kind of character, like, I want to say a surfer dude, but not really like that. But you know what I'm talking about, laid back kind of thing. And even when he was killing people, he was still funny about it. Like, I don't know. It's just fun to watch him do this shit.
Him, like, his humor. So, John Grease is the actor.
That's him, yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Louis. But for those of you who don't know, John Grease is in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
He's Uncle Rico.
He's Uncle Rico.
And the Werewolf and Monster Squad.
He is the Werewolf and Monster Squad, which is where I'm like, hey. And, his character in Monster Squad is highly underrated too, because
fuck yeah.
He is trying to fight his nature. Like, the whole time he wants to be free, and he, like, you see him calling the cops and being like, hey, you need to come stop this. You need to come take care of these kids. Like, and he's literally fighting himself to do it. And I understand we all love Frankenstein, and Frankenstein's monster in that movie is pretty fucking special. But,
Tom Noonan.
Yep. We got to put some respect on John Greaves' character too.
Oh, he's got that actor's got range from that role alone. I mean, when he in the police station when he's freaking out and he fires the gun 3 times and screams, "Lock me up." I mean, he sells that shit.
Well, and I'm literally going through his IMDb right now, and like he still is steady, just in different roles. Like he is in just so fucking much. Like whether you're a horror fan, whether he was in the Twilight Zone, Terror Vision, like we were talking about. Monster Squad. He is just like killing it, man. He was in Cagney and Lacey even. That's kind of funny. But he is just steady in just a bunch of different things. Apparently he was in White Lotus, which I did not know. But if you've ever seen White Lotus, I have not. So please tell me what he is in there. I do know that he's in the Taken movies. He's one of Liam Neeson's like bodyguard friends. I do remember that. But he's in a lot of things. He's in Sons of Anarchy even. He's got a lot of range, so we got to put some respect on his name. But I obviously, Uncle Rico. Like, we all grew up with Dynamite.
He was in Seinfeld, too. He was in an episode of Seinfeld.
He was. So, Julie Carmen, that plays Regina.
Mm-hmm.
Brewster, you should know this. What other famous horror movie is she in?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Because you're Brewster Vision.
I'm Brewster
Yeah.
Vision. Oh, this isn't cool. What other famous horror movie was she in?
It's
Hang
a
on. All right. Give me one little hint.
it's a Sam Neill classic.
Hold on. I know it's not Omen 3 because I just watched that a year ago. It's not Event Horizon. I just watched that less than a year ago. Mouth of Madness.
Yep, In the Mouth of Madness.
That is my favorite of the John Carpenter trilogy.
Oh,
the John Carpenter Apocalypse trilogy.
Absolute and her role in that is just incredibly underrated. But I feel like people either know her from one or the other, but they don't.
Dude, Sam Neill's another good one. He crushed. I mean, Damien Omen 3, take your personal opinions of the movie aside, he was awesome in that movie.
He was incredible. So, Russell Clark was the one that played Roller.
Belle?
Yes. Tracy Lynn was Sam. Obviously, William Ragsdale was Brewster. Roddy McDowell is obviously Peter Vincent. Roddy McDowell was also in Class of 1984, right? Yeah.
Class of 1984.
Yeah. Or it's one of those movies. I'm looking it up right now. I'm going to fact check myself. Yeah, Class of 1984. He was also in Legend of Hell House. He was also in a bunch of the Planet of the Apes movies. He was in the original Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor.
Wait. I'm going to make myself a total nerd here. Or uncharacteristic. Oh, whatever. Overboard. Wasn't he Andrew in Overboard?
Yes, he was also in A Bug's Life.
I never saw that one. I did see Overboard. Kurt Russell, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But I remember him. The reason I say Class of 1984 is because I just recently saw that maybe like 2 years ago and did not realize like how much of a banger of that movie is. But he is a very disenfranchised teacher in that movie. And it is pretty fucking spectacular. I would say in this movie, I really like Regina's character, but I do like Brewster's girlfriend, Alex. Alex, I did not know that Brian Thompson's character in this movie was Bosworth. I didn't know it was Bosworth, which I'm kind of like that's a little crazy. But I guess because you never pay attention to his name because he's always like either eating bugs or giving.
Cass, I don't think it's a name you're ever paying attention to.
Yeah.
It might be the muscles back in the
there
day.
You go.
It might be. I mean, he was like a fitness person at the time, so I don't know. I had some problems, okay?
Brian Thompson could be the thumbnail of this video.
He is. Brian Thompson, if you're listening, I swear, I'm over it, okay?
Yeah.
But
we almost believe that. Kylie, I'm calling shenanigans. What about you? Shenanigans. I'm getting the broomstick.
So, do you guys know that there is a Fright Night 2 to the new Fright Night?
Yeah, I heard it's not even like an actual sequel.
It
is not. And
I didn't see that one.
And you know what's crazy is as much shit as people give it, I do think that the Fright Night with Colin Farrell is not that bad.
No, it's Van Halen and Van Hager. It's two different movies, but they're still good.
Yeah, it's its own movie. I think it had some really good. Anton Yelchin played Charlie Brewster. Like, he was a great actor, and like Colin Farrell is a pretty I mean, he's a perfect person to play a Jerry Dandridge like character. Yeah. Toni Collette as the mom was an incredible addition. I think she did that really well. I have watched the Fright Night 2. That's the sequel to the new one.
Is it as bad as I hear?
It's not Bermuda Tentacles level, but it is. I would say it's almost. Oh God, let me think of something comparable. You know, it's special. It's got it. It tries. If you've ever seen 30 Days a Night 2 and felt like that was it felt like that was a mistake, it's in the same ballpark.
Okay, so let's not waste time delving on that. We talk about David Tennant being awesome as Peter Vincent in the Fright Night remake.
Yes. David Tennant was amazing. I also really like that they made his character like a Chris Angel style, person as a Peter Vincent character. I thought that was incredible. But definitely do not watch it. Fright Night 2, the new one, they do try to make it where it's kind of in the same ballpark as like woman seducing, kind of taking elements of this, but like trying to throw it up there, and it's just not the same.
It's the same actors, isn't it? Like it's like another remake, but it's called Part 2 or something, I heard.
No, it's not the same actors. It's literally like a straight to DVD type without the coolness of like some straight to DVD movies.
I love those movies.
I mean, they're great, except when you get shit that was like straight to digital when that was starting to become a thing, and you get a 30 Days a Night 2 that didn't even make sense. And then you got Fright Night 2. So if you've seen the new Fright Night 2, please comment down below if you thought it was better. I did not, but I don't care. That's just kind of my thing.
I gotta check it out just to say I saw it.
Kylie, I'm gonna get into trivia, and you told me that you have a true crime fact, and I think it's the same fact that I know, which is kind of really weird.
It's really fucking crazy. It's not really weird, it's fucking crazy.
So talk your shit, Kylie.
Okay, according to IMDb. Wait, hold on a second. Well, I kind of have two, but they go together. This one is soon after filming wrapped up, Roddy McDowell and Fright Night creator Tom Holland were scheduled to meet with Live Entertainment chairman Jose Mendez to discuss making a third film, but plans died with Mendez, who was infamously murdered by his sons as a direct consequence of this horrific tragedy. Part 2 ended up losing its planned countrywide distribution and playing only in one LA and another in New York theater, which directly resulted in its poor box office results, even though its per theater results were pretty good, and being released almost straight to video, since all of these movies' planned promos and ads were canceled as well. Most people never even learned of the movie's existence until eventually noticing it at their local video store. Now, the second part to this, Roddy McDowell and director Tommy Lee Wallace had an unpleasant lunch with Live Entertainment chairman Jose Mendez to discuss the film's distribution and marketing, and later the same evening, the exec was slaughtered by his sons Lyle and Eric Mendez. As news of the murder swirled around Hollywood the next morning, McDowell phoned Wallace and cracked, "Well, I didn't do it, did you?"
Yeah. Yes. So if you ever wondered why Fright Night 2 never got a wide distribution, it is a direct result of Jose Mendez being killed, because he was an active part in the second one, and because of his ties to this movie, everything was pulled. So,
shit. That's
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah. So, yeah. And listen, I'm not going to get on here and say that Jose Mendez was a great person because Lord knows there's so much evidence to the contrary. And to be fairly honest, I will be the first person to say that I do think that right now with them talking about resentencing them, that is probably the best idea because if this was a crime that happened nowadays, I think it would definitely be looked through a different lens. But it was definitely, I'm not saying that the issues that the Mendez's brothers faced are a valid reason to go off and kill somebody. However, they are at the same time, like for the time period. So, but that is directly
going, bro. We'll
I know.
a lot longer than you want to.
We're swerving out of that, especially with how much true crime stuff is going on right now, with everything. So we're swerving out of that lane, but that is why there was never a third Fright Night, and it took until 2010 almost to start talking about a new Fright Night, because for years nobody would touch it because it was a cursed product because of the fact that it had such direct ties to the Mendez brothers.
I don't think it's a curse. I wouldn't call it that.
No, maybe
I don't think it is, but
tainted.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
But not. There's a lot of other horror films, movies that are legitimately kind of cursed. Let's
The
be
Exorcist
honest.
and The Omen were cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and or like Poltergeist.
Girl, we're not. No. We're not spreading that misinformation. The Poltergeist movies were not cursed. The Poltergeist movies were not cursed. Anything that has ever come out about the Poltergeist movies, whether it was the whole using live bodies and different things like that.
Not that. No, not that. I'm meaning like what happened to certain cast members. Like there was quite a few that died.
Right, yeah. But I think to label that stuff that happened with Poltergeist, I mean, if you really want a good series, watch Curse Films. But Curse Films talks about it. And yeah, and I will say they bring up a really good point. What happened in Poltergeist was fucked. But listen, the little girl from Poltergeist died from an extremely, incredibly rare medical situation. And the biggest one of them all, which invalidates that person by calling it a curse, is the girl that played the sister that got killed by her boyfriend. That was not the direct results of her being in a Poltergeist movie. That was the direct results of domestic violence and the fact that as women, we are predisposed to have violence happen to us 3 times more likely than our male counterparts. So that's where I'm just saying.
Yeah, but the basis kind of a curse film when there's like multiple bad shit that happens to cast members. So I think it kind of qualifies as a.
I don't know. We're gonna fight this out on the
wait. Hold on. I see both points here, but at one hand, like, okay, so the Poltergeist thing, it happened to them over the course of 3 movies. You had the sister, and then later on Tangina. I mean, this was kind of over the course of the movies, whereas you got something like The Omen or The Exorcist for all that happened during.
Yeah, where The Omen and The Exorcist, you could fully say that. And listen, I wouldn't expect anything less because you're talking about making a movie that in itself is labeled sacrilegious, especially in a lot of different religious communities, because you're talking about parts of religion that is very taboo and sacrilegious. And it's the same thing where people were freaking the fuck out about Annabelle being moved. Like,
oh Jesus, I was freaking out about that shit. That's where it goes, man.
I heard she's been found.
Yeah, she's been found. We found her. Okay, we found her, but
I didn't fucking find her. I want to find her.
But I do get what you're saying. But I do. Rowdy McDowell and Tom Holland having a lunch with Lyle, but the day he died, does not make that cursed. That just makes it like, it's not like they knew, hey, your sons are going to kill you that night. Maybe you shouldn't go home. Like,
That's a
had
life is short message type of thing.
Yeah, that is very
The
true.
fact that Ronnie McDowell called,
Yeah,
what's his name, Tom?
Tom
Like,
Holland.
I
Yeah,
didn't do it, did you?
but that's Roddy McDowell for you. I mean, would you expect anything less than Roddy McDowell?
No.
That's great. I didn't do it. Did you?
So John Grease, who we talked about.
Which,
who
wait a
played-
second, to go back. I'm sorry. I wonder if they were questioned by
Oh,
police.
probably.
Oh, probably.
Last
Because
people
they
to
were
see him
one of the
alive.
last few. Yeah.
We're well, I'm sure that's what ultimately led to them making the decision to pull back
Yeah.
distribution and stuff on it as well. Because to be fair, like especially with how commerciality of films worked back then, I am almost positive that they were just like, "Hey, we're not even taking this chance," which sucks because if you think about it, if they had been given the proper tools, this is definitely a movie that we would have seen have a lot more success because it is maybe more.
Yeah, I think it would have became a kind of a huge franchise.
I do too, but and I think that ultimately they had a plan to do a 3. I think it would have been interesting to see. I would love anyone who is out there listening, if you have any like ideas of what you think. Uh-huh.
Do another one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they could do a legacy film. Chris Sarandon, all of them are still pretty, alive and kicking, except for Peter Vincent and
Yeah, Roddy's gone.
Roddy's gone. So, but most of them are alive, and they reunite on a pretty fairly regular basis. But Stephen Jeffries, who played Evil Ed, he was offered to reprise his role, but he turned it down
He
to take
regrets it.
But what movie did he turn it down to have a starring role in?
Oh, was that 976 Evil?
Yep.
I mean, that was kind of a win-win for him right there. It sucks, but 976 Evil's awesome.
Yeah. After Jeffries passed on the part, the script was revised. The Evil Ed character was renamed Louis and was ultimately portrayed by John Grease.
So
Louis
Evil
Grease
was supposed to be
fuck
Louis.
out.
Yeah,
Well, that would have been cool.
I know. Julia Carmen, who plays Regine, I call her Regina, but I guess
Regina sounds
yeah.
right.
But she originally was not interested in taking the role because it was nothing more than an Elvira imitation. She told Fangoria in a 1988 interview, after the script went through revisions, she became so enamored with the role that she turned down other projects to ensure she had ample time to prepare for the part. So,
I don't think it was like Elvira.
No, it definitely wasn't. I mean, it was like, it was not.
She was a gothic horror host.
Yeah, if anything, she was more Vampira than Elvira.
Well, Elvira was the queen of B puns too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Vampira was more of like the TV host, the seductive, like the theatrical, like that Elvira is more campy, more like how she said it takes a lot to look this cheap. That's her tag, all of her different taglines and different things like that. Like Elvira is not that kind of character. Elvira is just kind of like her own fucking lane. Let's be honest. I know I'm going to get shit for this. It was Brian Thompson's idea for his characters to recite the name of each species and genus of insect before he devoured them.
Did he really eat bugs?
I would not be surprised. A lot of people think of Brian Thompson as a bodybuilder, but he, if I'm not mistaken, he's like a classically trained actor, like Harvard, Yale, something like that. Like he is a very classically trained actor, and I've heard a lot of people say that he is very method. And I think people do make, because that, I think that's a lot of people like when they say, oh yeah, he was a really funky Shao Kahn. What did you expect from Shao Kahn? Shao
that
Kahn,
movie was so terrible.
I mean, I get it, but like he played the character he was supposed to. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Shao Kahn is like, it's the same reason they picked a bodybuilder for this Mortal Kombat movie. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just you kind of have to play it that way. Like, I don't know what else. What else do you expect from somebody who literally is like 6'4" and could literally take you out with one punch, and is supposed to be like the overlord of a bloody world?
Terminator. He was in the Terminator.
He was in the Terminator with Bill Paxton. That's how they both
Wow,
got their start.
R.I.P.
Yep.
Bill Paxton, one of the greats.
Yes. Which, if
Literally.
you have not, please go check out our friend Bill Perry. But Bill has a incredible story about Bill Paxton that he's talked about on our podcast before. But he has a video posted about it on his page, so go check it out. It just gives you the warms and fuzzies
It does.
about somebody that is so beloved. But Tom Holland was asked to return for the sequel. The sequel was not written and directed by Tom Holland.
He
but
wrote it, didn't he?
I'm going to fact check that in a minute. I know he didn't direct it because of the fact that at the time, him and Chris Sarandon were tied up making Child's Play.
Shit, that's right.
So Chris Sarandon, who played Jerry Dandridge in the first film, stopped by the set to show his support the day that the party at Regine's apartment was filmed. Stills of him on location with Roddy and William Ragsdale exist. So there was Russell Clark, who portrayed Belle, the mute androgynous roller skating vampire. He was hired not only for the dance sequence for Regine, but also they underwent rigorous 8-hour rehearsals, but also to coach his vampire co-stars to move together more fluidly. So that is why they look very just, all over the place.
Yeah.
So an early draft of the script included both Amanda Beers and Stephen Jeffries returning for the sequel, but neither of the actors who played these roles were impressed with the material and decided not to come back. Their decisions were made even easier with Amanda Beersley being busy with her new TV series, Married with Children, and with Stephen Jeffries being offered the lead role in 976 Evil. So as a result, script changes were made to reveal that Evil Ed was in fact killed by Peter Vincent, while Charlie Brewster in a cutscene explained Amy's whereabouts. She started dating a lot of older men, and they vaguely resembled Jerry Dandridge. One of them owned a bank. She married him and moved to Houston.
They kind of delve in that in the Fright Night comic book that came out in the past few years.
There's a Fright Night comic book?
Yeah, I got this crap on me, so I can't run to my Nerd Haven and get it, but I'll send you pictures of them later. There's 2 series. There's one, and then there's a second one called Evil Ed Rising. And I think it's done by Tom Holland, too.
That's
cool.
Crazy.
But they talk about how Evil Ed survived the first movie and why Charlie and Amy's relationship faltered. So it's like the Fright Night 2 that happened between, you know what I mean?
I mean, you can't blame Amy that after, getting dickmatized, for lack of a better term, by Jerry.
You can't blame her.
You can't blame her that she decided, like, hey, this ain't for me. I'm going to go on to do this. They cut it because Charlie's a hater. Sorry, I said what I said.
Charlie's a hater.
Charlie's a hater. He's just mad because Amy bossed up and picked somebody who actually gave a fuck about her and had enough money to keep her. I said what I said. So Regine, Julie Carmen, who played Regine, retained many pieces of her on-screen wardrobe, which apparently hung in her closet for decades. Can't blame her. She had a pretty awesome wardrobe. I would have kept it too. So the character of Boz was modeled after Brian Bosworth, and Brian Thompson landed the role due to his resemblance to the athlete. I don't even know who Brian Bosworth is.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
It's literally in the IMDb, Kylie.
But there are a lot of other trivia facts in the IMDb.
Hold on one. I'm going right here. Just hang tight a second.
We're about to fight it out on the remix. Brewster's going to like pull out the comic books just so he can he can stop the infighting.
A buffer.
He's buffing the two of us from fighting. Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Annihilation. Your boy's in this movie. This is the one with Shao Kahn. So
yeah,
I'm busting your balls about it, but I own it myself. So
yeah, I own most of his movies. So
shocking.
I'm
gonna text Jim, telling him to bring you a bucket.
Listen, if you text him that, then he needs to check himself when it comes to Michelle Rodriguez, because if that woman knocked on our door today, that man would leave me like nobody's business. I mean, he would come back.
And Hillary Duff.
Yeah, they would come back after a night, because Lord knows they both wouldn't know what to do with at least for Jim too. Like, he wouldn't know what to do with a whole 24 hours with Michelle Rodriguez. And
he wouldn't need 24 hours.
But I can't say anything because that would be me with Gerard Butler. So,
bro, you have went all the way there about all of them. Except one, and there's only one name that in person you have not mentioned, and I'm not even gonna say it. We're just gonna skip.
No. We're down the rabbit hole on this one, Kylie. Shoot.
Pedro Pascal.
Pascal.
Oh wow.
That man's a gentleman. Okay. That man's a gentleman. So
I've seen him in 2 movies. Well, yeah, 2 movies. So I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
I'm trying to look at the different facts as my brain is shutting down from the fact that Kylie, this is ridiculous. And I really had to fact check even IMDb because I didn't believe that this was real, but it is real. How many times do you think Charlie is said in this movie?
Not as many times as Brian Thompson has been said in this video.
He just cooked you.
I lost my future invites, didn't I?
I mean, no, you're still coming back on Thursday.
No, you're yep. And actually, I got an assignment for you for the episodes that you don't come on and you listen to.
Charlie is said 63 times during this movie.
Okay, but how many times was Charlie said in the first one?
I guess we're gonna find that out. There was this is a wild thing to find out. Roddy McDowall appears in The Class of 1984, which is what I talked about. Tracy Lind, who plays Alex, appears in the sequel Class of 1999. I didn't even know there was a sequel, Class of 1984.
The 99 sounds familiar, though.
I'm going to have to look that up. So I'm going to skip this fact because you guys are literally going to roast me for it. So
probably.
We're going to move up past.
We're going to move on.
In the scene where Regine does the performance piece on Peter Vincent's Fright Night show, there was a cut scene that originally elaborated on what is seen here, showing how Belle had turned Regine in a way that was very similar to the scene in which Regine acts out. It is unknown if the footage for the scene still exists somewhere. So, fuck it, I am gonna say this because this is kind of fucking terrifying. For his death scene, Brian Thompson wore an appliance on his stomach filled with maggots, and he had to remain hunched over to keep them contained. As he waited for the setups, the wriggling of the bugs caused Thompson's abdominal muscles to spasm uncontrollably, but he muddled through and ultimately got the scene filmed. But I did look this up as well, and apparently there was an issue at one point in time with them staying in this device, and they would at random times
go. Disgusting.
Yeah, that was pretty
I read that.
Pretty special. I'm a little weirded out by that, but it's fine.
Maggots, Michael.
So yeah. So let us know what you think of Fright Night. What's your favorite scene of this movie as we wrap up everything?
As a kid, I always loved Louis in full-on wolf vamp form, whatever the hell he is. Just the way he's climbing that roof.
Oh yeah,
just the window still down at his nails. He falls in there, and then either that or his death scene when he just lying in that fountain and says "bullseye, dude." And
yeah, that's a pretty. That kind of reminds me of the Monster Squad, just like the theme of that with like some of the like different scenes. Kylie, what about you?
I don't remember which vampire it is. I think it might be Belle. It's the one towards the end that gets her face melted off.
Yeah, it is Belle. No, it's no, it's the friend that he thinks gets bitten at the party, and he goes and checks his neck, and
is that
then
Rick?
Yes,
what's his name, Rick?
Yeah.
You have to fact check that. I can't.
Richie, that's what it is.
Richie, okay, I was close.
I had a fact about him. He actually he was diagnosed with AIDS.
Oh, what was the 80s?
Yeah, and at the time it was a death sentence, and he wanted to do the movie before he died. And they took a lot of precautions during filming, but I love that scene because of the practical effects. I just thought it was super fucking cool, and I wish we used practical effects more today.
I like when he catches him checking out his neck, and he just they're staring at him like, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm good, bruh. Yeah, so obviously I love the bowling scene. I think
that's probably my second favorite.
I mean, I feel like that's just iconic, but outside of that, just because of the campiness of it, you know what I mean? Because it's like it's in the midst of the movie, and it's literally like a break. Like it's like, hey, this is serious, and then all of a sudden, let's go bowling.
But the therapist tells Charlie, you should go bowling. Exercise.
Well, so speaking of the therapist is probably my favorite scene of when the therapist attacks Alex and she ends up hitting him with the crucifix and she doesn't fully get it in, and he's like, I'll do it for you. You don't need the trauma. And he's like literally like pulling it in. I just thought I was like, well, he was being nice about it. Like,
he was being nice about it.
He was helping you out.
Wait, we talk about the therapist death scene?
Yeah. Yeah, where he's literally like,
no, I got it.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Honestly, I was not expecting the therapist to be a vampire. Like I was like, oh, that was a twist.
But it makes sense that he was, because it just proves that she was manipulating him the whole time.
The whole time,
because the therapist is who convinced him that this is not real. They went through deep therapy. Yep. So that was a plug from the beginning. Yeah. And so that was very gnarly. Yeah. But that death scene is hilarious. Yeah. He was like, no, it's fine. You did it halfway, I'll finish it. That kind of thing. It was just funny. So definitely check out Fright Night 2. Like I said, it is not currently actively streaming anywhere. You can find the full movie on YouTube. We are going to run into the next part of this before we wrap up, which is what is our favorite thing in horror this week? Kylie, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
I will go. I didn't really have one, but I do. There was a recent review. Someone got a private screening of Hell House Lineage and they did a review on it. I know. And if you are in Long Beach, California, they are going to be at Midsummer Scream. Stephen Cognetti, Joe Bendelli, Elizabeth Vermilia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, like always. And I forget who else, but they are doing a panel and they are also going to be showing the first 10 minutes of it. But the review got me even more just stoked and fucking ready for this fucking movie to come out.
Yeah, because it was very positive. It was
very positive. They did say there's going to be a lot more fast-paced movement from the main clown, and I am just.
This is
on,
part
August.
5, right?
yes.
Okay.
This is tying in. Did you see?
I've seen them all. Just it's been a minute.
Yeah. Did you? So if you saw Carmichael Manor, you know that they kind of expanded the story.
Yeah.
This is tying everything in, and a lot of people, trust me, because I had to pull Kylie away from the flame of like going in on some people, rightfully so, because there were a lot of people that were upset about the fact that Stephen Cognetti for this film is not doing found footage.
Oh.
But in the review, there is some parts of kind of found footage, just like in Origins or Carmichael Manor.
Yeah.
And I'm just so tired of people. Like, I made a post about it like today. I'm tired of people and their opinions on horror and just attacking people for having certain opinions, for liking certain movies, for just completely talking so much shit, especially about Stephen Cognetti, about how it's not a found footage film, when you have never made a movie in your life. And like, these are people's passions, their life, their livelihoods, their art, and like, we just need to appreciate shit for what it is.
Well, and realistically, this is somebody that we're talking about that made this movie, the first one, from nothing.
Nothing.
And it would be different. It's okay for us to point out, like we were just kind of teasing in the beginning, Woman in the Yard, like different, The Wolfman, different films that came out. Those have crazy budgets.
And crazy low reviews. They suck.
And crazy low. And Wolfman especially, because Wolfman following up Invisible Woman with Wolfman and missing
the Invisible Man.
Invisible Man, yeah. But I mean, I think of it as the Invisible Woman because who gave a fuck about her fucking husband? And nobody gave a fuck about the Invisible Man to begin with, especially me. But but that is a little bit more egregious because you had Universal Monster name, you had backing of Blumhouse, you had all these different components. You had already hit it out of the park with the first one at making a pretty stellar movie that kind of reinvigorated Universal Monsters. And then you followed it up with that. And what kind of sucks is I feel like the Mummy movie that they're doing is going to kind of feel the effects of that, which sucks because I don't think that the Mummy movie that they're going to be making is going to be egregiously bad like that. I may come back and be like, I was totally fucking wrong. But it's by the same people who did Evil Dead Rise, and there's been a lot of talk about them making it a lot darker and going back to like the true intentions of the original. And if that's the case, I feel like that would be really good. But it's different to be critical of something like that. But to be critical of a franchise that started from nothing and has continued to build upon a pretty steady, like not out there budget and just kind of doing things in a certain way, I feel like that's just kind of a low blow. And I do feel like
Hey.
people are, you know, giving the new Final Destination movie shit in certain parts. And I'm like, can we just appreciate the fact that Tony Todd came back for this film? Like, he
no
knew he
kidding.
was dying. He did this. He gave it to us. And that in itself is something that we should appreciate. But I've heard that the movie's stellar and it's fantastic. And I'm sorry, what do you expect? Final Destination is one of those movies that's going to come back 27,000 times because guess what? The main character is death.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense. It makes sense. So I get it. There's a lack of original ideas, but you can't just continue to like
it doesn't make sense with the story for it to just completely all be found footage.
Yeah.
You guys remember that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, that just like literally popped up. But it just doesn't make sense. And that is kind of leading into it. We'll get Brewster's in a minute, but that's kind of leading into what I'm gonna say. As somebody, my thing of the week is I watched Prom Queen, Fear Street Prom Queen. As somebody who loved the original trilogy, this movie was not the original trilogy, but I don't think it was trying to be. And as somebody who just loves Arlstein and the impact he's had on our generation, and for someone who also has watched a lot of dog shit on Netflix, it was not a bad movie. It was a good movie. There were times where I was like, oh, okay. But it was pretty, it was solid. Like, it's not the original trilogy, but I don't think it was trying to be. Like,
dude, Netflix has a lot of audacity in raising their prices and the selection of movies they have and things they have on there and the shit that they release as Netflix movie or whatever. Like,
yeah,
they just have so much fucking audacity and I'm tired of it.
Yeah,
like, sit the fuck down. Take a seat.
I just feel like for something that could have been so bad, it was good. It was pretty solid. And I don't think it's a bad movie. I did. And I think Brewster and I are going to try to do a review at some point about it. I did get a chance to check out. It isn't as horror leaning as we normally are. But I did get to check out Freaky Tales with Pedro Pascal in it. And I did think it was a pretty solid movie. Thought it was pretty original and out there. And I think it's just a funny idea. So highly encourage that. But yeah, I just feel like going into summertime, we have a lot of really cool shit coming out. And I feel like there's a lot of discourse and a lot of people that are just being haters for no fucking reason. There are people hating on the Predator franchise right now because the new Predator movie coming out. And the fact that they're trying to weave that together with the Alien Romulus movie, when, hello, if you had paid fucking attention, that was their intention to begin with. Like, both directors, when they took the movie on, had both stated how they wanted to do an Alien versus Predator together eventually. And so it would make sense that if Romulus was popular, which it was, and it was a good movie, that then they would try to weave that in with the new Predator movie, and then they would capitalize on that. And they're not wrong. Alien versus Predator was a good movie. I mean, it makes sense that aliens and predators would be fighting. They're both in the same universe. They both are doing the same things. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. There are so many things that we could be mad about in the horror franchise, and this just seems like the stupidest shit of all of it. Like, we're talking about fucking fictional characters that are aliens, like, in different formats. And you're mad because they're making a movie about the Predator character actually being a character and not just being the person killing everyone. That was kind of like hating on Prey because it was a woman going up against the Predator. It makes no sense. So I just think going into summertime, we need to dial back our expectations a little bit. We need to just enjoy things for what they are.
After seeing Wolfman and the Woman in the Yard, I've definitely dialed back my expectations.
Yeah. And so far, we've gotten some good ones. We got Sinners. We got Final Destination Bloodlines. You know, there's
Bring
a
Her
lot
Back
of...
was good.
Bring Her Back, I've heard, is great. There, 28 Years Later is coming out next month. There's a lot of just really good films that are coming forward. I think we just need to pump the brakes on the hate train a little bit. So, Fear Street Prom Queen might not be for everybody, but hey, listen, if you're disillusioned by Netflix and you're looking for something that's better than your general jaunt around there, I would highly recommend it. Like, what are you going to do? Watch 365 Days for the 25th time?
I canceled my Netflix, so I can't watch any of it.
So, but yeah, I think I would definitely encourage to go see it. I would also check out Talkin Tapes, because Brewster and I were just together over the weekend. That's why I am grabbing something off to the corner. But Brewster was my cameraman over the weekend, and I got to talk to the Ohio Horror Writers Association, and I did a couple of multiple interviews, and I did pick up 2 different books, Hell for the Holidays and Critters from the Pool Lagoon, which happens to have a mermaid character that's based in a trailer park in Port Clinton Bay, which is near and dear to where I'm at. So I'm excited. These are probably going with me to Johnny and Friends to read. But I would highly encourage checking out Talkin Tapes and check out all those authors on there. You're looking for original ideas and you're disillusioned by TV and movies now, go check up your indie horror writers. They're out there doing the good Lord's work. So keep it moving. So Brewster, what's your thing in horror this week?
Actually today I just saw a trailer for something getting released on digital on June 20th. Can't find much about it. It's called The Garden of Eden. And it's supposedly like the most brutal kills on film. So in the trailer, though, it didn't show much as far as that was concerned. But if the kills are brutal, essentially it looks like we're going to have a cross between In a Violent Nature and The Wicker Man or Midsummer, whichever you grew up with. But it looks pretty bizarre, so I'll be checking that one out.
Okay, I'm a little terrified. It
looks freaky. I'll send you the trailer to this group chat after
I'm not gonna watch the trailer. I'm not.
Kylie, you got me on this one, or am I going solo?
I got you. Send me the details.
All right.
Yeah.
That reminds me. I was reading something today. You guys know who Selena Spooky?
Selena Spooky Boo, and Call Me Chris. They did a horror movie.
Yes, it will be out in theaters July 25th, and it's found footage. My favorite.
Selena Spooky Boo and Call Me Chris, if you are not familiar, they are popular YouTubers that kind of became frequent collaborators between Sam and Colby. They do some paranormal stuff and do a bunch of other things on YouTube, but are kind of well known for doing like paranormal videos. They've done a couple videos with Sam and Colby. And if you're not familiar with Sam and Colby kind of became notorious for their paranormal activities, but especially they had a video where they were, I forget where they were, but they were somewhere and they stumbled upon like what appeared to be a cult, and they were followed and harassed, and it was like a whole thing. And I don't know if it was real or fake, but they have a lot of different videos where they have some conjuring ones that are kind of crazy. They were given permission by Zach Bagans to have an overnight in his museum.
Yeah, so I saw that one.
Yeah, so they have different videos. So, but yeah, that is coming out. I also am surprised Kylie didn't bring up the real life horror, which is every horror fan's nightmare, which is a woman watching Final Destination Bloodlines, having the ceiling fall on her in true Final Destination form. So
there's been a lot of Final Destination type situations happening, like 80-year-old man died in a wreck. He crashed into the back of a log truck, and I don't need to say any more about what happened. You pick up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, which is crazy because that was part of Bloodlines promo, was they had trucks that were going out in areas that were like dressed up like the log truck that were freaking people out. So I find that funny. I just went and saw the Lilo Stitch movie, and if you need something that's a little bit of a levity in between all the horror, I would highly encourage you to go search TikTok and look up Stitch's shenanigans. They made Stitch puppets for the movie, animatronic puppets, and AMC has been placing those motherfuckers everywhere. And so they have shenanigans of like Stitch scanning people's like tickets going in, Stitch riding the pink car from the movie in the movie theater, him popping up out of popcorn buckets, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So but yeah, be safe watching movies. Please don't have your roof collapse on you. That's not what we want to do. So stay safe out there. And if this is your first time watching Fright Night 2 and you liked it, let us know below. And Brewster will be back. He is coming back, or at this point when this episode is out, it is already out, but we are going to be filming with him later this week. So this will be in the future, but he is coming back to talk Pumpkinhead with us for Father's Day. So it'll be super exciting. So if that episode is out at this point in time, we will link it in the description down below and follow that episode up with this episode. So, but until next time, it's me, Cass, and
Kylie.
And we are the Horrorcraft Podcast, and we had Brewster on, and it was incredible. So until next time, bye, and stay spooky.
Bye.
Bye.